Esther watched a movie last night. She knew when she turned it on that it wasn't the best movie for her to choose. But she liked the actors in it, so she thought, I'll watch it. And the longer she watched it, the more she knew it wasn't a good movie for her to watch, because it activated within her feelings of uneasiness. But she sort of got hooked into the plot, and it was easier to continue to watch it. She really wanted to know how it ended. These actors almost always have happy endings, she thought. So she watched it, and then she laid in her bed in preparation for you and thought, all right, now I need to quiet my mind and get into that place of well-being, different from what the movie had activated. And then she brought herself into a place of remembering her well-being, and she drifted off to sleep. And as she woke up many times during the night, the thought that was in her consciousness as she reemerged back into consciousness was, well-being is the most dominant stream that flows. And thoughts are in the air. And which of these thoughts that are in the air are you tuning into? And then Esther thought about her experience at the campground where they'd been staying for the last couple of days, where there is a link spot, internet, being broadcast into the air. And so Esther specifically chose this park because she wanted high-speed internet access. And she knows about the lovely trees here, and she knew that her own satellite dish might be hard to get pointed to the Mexico sky. And so she booked her space and turned on her computer, only to discover that when she looked at the little meter on her computer screen, the link spot signal was very, very small. And when she tried to log on to the internet, she kept getting a prompt that said, attempt failed. And so she went down to the office and she said to them, your signal is not strong enough, it seems, to reach where I am, parked in your park. And the woman said, this has been a problem, so they put a booster on it. And Esther said, well, they might need another booster because it cannot come to where we are. And so they pulled up their feet and pulled in their walls and pulled in their plugs and pulled in their hoses and put everything down and moved to a site that was closer to the transmitter. And Esther turned on her computer, and there was a nice big signal. I'm within range, she announced. And when she clicked on her internet browser, boom, connected to the world. And she said, isn't that interesting? There are all of these signals buzzing around all over the place. Who knows how many signals like Link Spot are blowing through our airwaves, through our coaches, through our bodies, through our streets, through our cities, through our planet, through our atmosphere. Thoughts are in the air. But unless we get within vibrational range of them, we don't have an active experience with it. And unless we are on the same wavelength, we don't have an active experience with it. And so Esther laid there in the night last night, pondering how many thoughts are out there, how many currents and rivers of streams, how many conspiracy theories, and how many sickness theories, and how many government intervention theories, and how many theories of well-being. And then she remembered our words, Esther, the stream of well-being is immense. And in her mind's eye, she saw a stream on her computer screen that was so big it enveloped her body, it enveloped the room. In other words, it's not like Link Spot that you got to be within 20 feet of the tower. This stream of well-being is a huge broadcasting stream, but that does not mean that you could not watch a movie or listen to a friend or dial on to a news group or listen to a particular radio program. That does not mean that you could not give 17 seconds of attention to something and then another 17 and another 17. That does not mean that you could not give your undivided attention to some signal that is out there and activate it and make it your dominant stream. And what we're wanting you to understand is that your dominant stream is one of well-being, but you have options, folks. You can log on to the stream of well-being, which is what the art of allowing is. It's about wanting so much to feel good that you disregard all of the valid thoughts of truth and fact and history that are offered to you all day, every day. And you say, just because someone else gave that their attention long enough that it manifested in their experience and became a statistic, does not mean that I need to do the same thing. Your doctors, not all of them, but most of them, seem to believe in the deterioration of your body. And as they deal mostly with people whose bodies are sick, they become very strong in their belief of that. And they and the medical community and the pharmaceutical communities have so much to gain by your believing in your sickness. And so they fill the airwaves with this stream of consciousness. And you, unwittingly, well-meaningly, often log on to that beam. And then you experience a diminishment of your own experience, and then you say, their facts are true. And we say, big deal. There are facts of wellness. Why not log on to those? There are facts of abundance. Why not log on to those? In other words, why not choose using your own meter? So how do you know? How do you know? Esther knows when she's got a link spot signal. She can tell when she's hooked onto her wireless network in the coach. She can see when her printers are available to her by the way the signal shows up. In other words, she's got this visual meter that lets her know her reception. You look at your equipment. You can tell when you're logged on. You can tell what kind of reception you're getting. You understand radio signals and radio dials. You know when your cell phone doesn't work, it's because you're out of range. In other words, you get this concept, but almost no humans relate the concept of connectivity to who you really are. And we think it's because many of you do not really think much about who you really are and what you come from, and that you are consciousness that is sending a constant signal. And so most humans are not spending very much time making any effort at all to tend to your connection. And we say, if you don't tend to your connection, then you're not on the web. If you don't tend to your connection, you're not part of the grid. If you're not on the connection, if you're not hooked up to the energy of your source, you're not being the person that you came forth here to be. You're living a shadow of a life, and your sickness indicates it, your negative emotion indicates it, the way things go wrong indicate it. In other words, you can tell when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you can tell when you are not. And the art of allowing is about helping you to recognize moment by moment, without needing a computer bar or some sort of meter that's attached to your brain, to understand by the way you feel when you are connected to the stream. So we want to remind you that your emotions are your guidance, and that the better you feel, that's that signal. The better you feel. In other words, when you feel passion, oh, you've got energy flowing through you and you're not resisting it. There's not contradiction within you that's hindering the signal. When you feel love or appreciation, boom, you're locked onto the signal. In other words, it's enveloping you. Everything about your thought process, everything about your body, everything about the way you communicate with others, everything about your life experience is enhanced when you line up with that signal of well-being. In fact, do you know that when you hook up with this signal of well-being, all of those other pesky little signals that want to get to you, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. Do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. All of those pesky signals, you're unworthy, you're vulnerable. All of those signals that are being broadcast are so puny in signal bandwidth in comparison with this energy of well-being that's being offered to you, that they become irrelevant. And so you see things, but they don't affect you, because you understand that your well-being is not contingent upon what somebody else decides to do about something. Your well-being is contingent upon only one thing, and that is your tending to your alignment, you say.